I'm here with Michael Banaag, and this is the Jovi Marie show. A little bit about his background. He's got 30 years anniversary with the martial arts. He's certified kettlebell instructor, organization known as StrongFirst. You and your wife are creating your website. It's up and running, but it's also in the process. So I have a few questions for you, Michael.
Sure.
Who are your mentors that you worked and studied with, and what motivated you to start martial arts, and why did you start?
Which one you want me to start with first?
Your mentors.
My mentors. Okay, so I started the martial arts like 30 years ago. My first teacher was James DeMile, the late James DeMile. He was an original student of Bruce Lee. Then after that, I got to train with his senior most student, a guy named Ron Ogi. Yeah, he was a senior, like DeMile's, he was with DeMile since he was 14, so he was with him for a long time. And then after Ron Ogi, I got to train with the late Jesse Glover, not for as long as I would like to have, but it was still extremely influential time.
Wow.
And then I can't remember the timeline like of order, but I started to train with Steve Smith. And then Tom DeFelice allowed me to continue my training in Jesse's information after Jesse passed away. And so that was really nice. And then I also trained with Renato Alfonso. And so, yeah, those are the martial arts side of it. I have Andrea U-shi Chang, master instructor on StrongFirst. She's my coach, and her husband, Vic Verdier. He is also my coach too in actual movement type stuff, and also they both are co-owners of the kettlebell studio. So obviously, I'm learning from them. And then I guess the most recent mentors are in terms of like a business side of things would be Richard Dimitri and Pamela Armitage.
Okay.
I consider them my self-defense instructors. Learned from them the difference between martial arts and self-defense, and also a lot about trauma, which has been really life-changing for me. And then obviously I had like a therapist in a way as a mentor, and then Leroy Garcia is a good friend. He's a mentor in that way. And there's another guy that I've never mentioned before that I'd like to give credit to. His name is Lonnie Williams.
Okay.
He's also been a good mentor to me. So I've had a lot of mentors in my life. So I'm a big proponent that everybody should find as many mentors as they possibly can. So
yeah, absolutely. So what was it that you like studying the most from your mentors?
Everyone has a different perspective, so it's really nice to experience those different perspectives. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, when I first got involved in the martial arts, like I was 13 years old. So I had like eczema. I've had it my whole life. It wasn't until maybe the last 5 years that I realized it was, or maybe even 10 years, that it's food related. And so like as a kid growing up, I was like, what if a bully like bullies me and I need to tell him to shut up, you know? So I need to be able to defend myself, especially if they're, making fun of me for my eczema, because at the time I didn't know what was causing it or how to handle it, right? So so that's one of the reasons I got into martial arts. Oddly enough, in retrospect now, I realized that it wasn't just the eczema that got me into martial arts, right? It was like having a sense of value. Because I realized that some traumas I've had growing up was I think it's like a peas and a peas, where like I was always trying to make people happy and trying to almost anticipate things. So that's why I started anticipating what if someone was going to bully me for my eczema, and then I did, and then I went into martial arts. But oddly enough, I never actually got ever bullied for my eczema. So, I mean, this gives you an idea. But that's what got me into the martial arts. And in terms of, so like with DeMile, one of the things I really appreciate was, I was in my teens when I was learning from him. So I was pretty influenced by his way of breaking down technique and thinking about things. And he taught me how to be a better coach. Because like, if you had met me when I was a young kid, you'd never expect me to even have this conversation with you, because I pretty shy. It's my default mode. Or to even teach and to talk to people or coach, it was not something I would do. But he helped get me out of that shell and helped me kind of see how things are, and taught me a lot of life lessons along the way that had nothing to do with martial arts. So that was really enriching.
Okay.
Yeah, all of them have actually done that in some fashion, even whether it was a short amount of time with them or not. It's all been pretty crazy. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you were shy?
Yeah. Super duper
Myself.
shy, super quiet.
So with martial arts, did that like actually had you step out of your comfort zone? Because I know I do things to get out of my comfort zone as well. Like me doing these interviews, speaking in public and stuff like that. That's for me to get out of my comfort zone because I was very
Nice.
shy as a child as well.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's good. I think it did in the beginning when so my family, like my dad worked two jobs, my mom worked as well, and then so when I finally got an opportunity or the okay from my dad to do martial arts,
Mhm.
and we pretty much scoped out James DeMile school for almost a month before I actually signed up, because money was tight, so it was like we got to make sure it's worth it, and then once we got in, it was a predicament because I was 13 and I was the tallest 13-year-old at that time, because they were thinking about putting me in the kids program.
Mhm.
And then in terms of the adult program, the next guy that was my age was several ranks above, because James DeMile did belt ranking.
Okay.
So, and he was, even though he was like maybe a year older than me, he was like 6 foot something, right? So
Really?
he looked, yeah, so he like fit in with the adults really well. So they were like, that's fine. But with me, they were like, I don't know. But then luckily, DeMile's wife, Irene, kind of, voted for me to try out the adult program. I didn't know at the time that it was on a trial basis. They're just like, yeah, we'll put you in the adult program. But I found out later that was a 1 month probation kind of thing. And then it worked out really well. So right off the bat, yeah, I was put in an uncomfortable position because my partners in the class were like, I think the youngest was in his 30s and I was 13,
Yeah.
So it was like, whoa, this is different. Like no kids, they're all adults, but they were really warm and welcoming, especially like Lonnie Williams and Veronica Ramos and can't remember his last name. I think it was Walters, but his name was Doug. Doug especially was my partner a lot, and he was really warm and friendly, so it was good, you know.
So what are
Yeah.
some, I know you said that it helped you get out of your comfort zone.
Mm.
What would you suggest for anyone to start martial arts and um to get them out of that comfort zone where it's like going to teach them a little bit more? What teaches you and what motivates you to do more, in other words?
Is that the question? The last one?
Yes.
um, what more? I guess it's like when I grew up, my mom always said to me, Michael, you can achieve whatever you want to as long as you put your mind to it,
Okay.
right? And so luckily, this is like the 80s, so you see like Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, all these Michaels that are like doing really well, right? And then have my mom say that, I'm like, oh well, maybe I could like be something special or something like that. Um, but it wasn't like I'm trying to be a celebrity or anything, but I was just kind of looked at it like there's another guy, Michael Johnson, who was an Olympian, and I thought, okay, so maybe how far can I take whatever it is I'm studying, you
Mhm.
know? Because I never thought of myself as a really smart person or a fast learner. Some people might say that differently nowadays, but that's only because of the experience I already have, right? But especially in the beginning, it was a slow go. So, but to me, it was just like doing the work, and it almost became something that was like I can obsessively focus over,
Okay.
so I don't have to get distracted by anything else. And then that's what, and then to it's like one student of mine said to me, like, this stuff is like brain candy. So it's really cool because as you're doing it, it's like you're problem solving and things are happening, and then you're seeing you're getting better. even if it's just a glimpse of it, you're like, oh, there's potential, I could get better, and then you just keep working, and it does happen, and that's always kind of been the motivation for me, you know,
Okay. Oh,
in all the stuff I do.
so what did your students say? It was
It's like brain candy.
brain candy. Okay.
Yeah.
So because it's just an obsession that you want to do more and more and more.
Yeah, you want to get it down. It's like it's just enough of a problem that it bugs you, and then you want to solve it. And then when you solve it, it's like really like, wow, this is awesome. And then you want to do it some more, right? It's
Right.
like, what else is there? Yeah, it's like a better addiction to me than some of the other stuff that a person could do, right? So
Absolutely. I
yeah.
totally agree. I totally agree. And I agree with it being an obsession.
Mhm.
Whenever you have an obsession and you're striving to do better and you're working on yourself, I think that's the main thing, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
martial arts shows that working, like on yourself and doing much better always achieves a better result.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, just generally speaking, whether you can exclude martial arts from the picture, but just I think a lot of people in general get stuck in the 9 to 5 grind, right? And then they go to work, they clock, they come home, and then the closest thing to enriching themselves is watching television or playing a video game, but it's like, it's kind of easy and pleasurable, but it's like when you do something that's a little bit harder and then you get the achievement from that, like that pleasure is like 10 times more, and it's just more enriching, and it makes you feel better about yourself, right?
Exactly.
So and then you have fulfillment, like a real fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's true. So tell us a little bit about you being certified with Kettlebell Instructor and what you do exactly. Do you work with kids? Do you work with adults?
Mostly with adults. I kind of feel like I've retired from teaching kids. When I took over, so my martial arts history, so I was 24-year student with James DeMile. At
Mhm,
one point in time, 2001, I think it was, both myself and my senior instructor, Manuel Del Pino, inherited his school as
mhm,
he was trying to retire and move to Hawaii. So at that time, we took over his school, right? It was in Shoreline, Washington, and there was kids and adults and instructors in training and all that kind of stuff. So I gave out like 14 kids black belts, right? And that was a fun experience. That first group of kids, like really near and dear to my heart, because they were like little brothers and sisters, or like my own children, So,
right?
um, and then closer to the middle of the 2000s, like there was like a shift. Like the kids weren't as interested, and then I got more parents forcing their kids to do it when they didn't want to, and it was like, okay, I'm done teaching kids, So I tried again, like maybe after 2011, when I was doing natural movement stuff. I started teaching kids there, and it was fun. They had a lot of fun, but it didn't have that kind of pull or wanting to maintain, because there was no belt ranking.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, with the kettlebells, I just teach adults, and it's another brain candy, because it's like, yeah, you're lifting a heavy weight, but if you could do it with the right kind of technique, then it doesn't matter how heavy that bell is. Like, I mean, obviously within reason, right? Like you have a natural strength to pick up something. The technique that you learn will make you pick it up even more efficiently and effectively and safely.
Mhm.
And then it's like the weight gets easy. Like you can climb heavier weights easy once you have the technique down. So
Okay.
that's why it's been brain, like almost like a martial art for me, because it's brain candy. Like, oh, if I get this technique down, I can go from this weight to this weight pretty fast. So like it won't take me 2 years. That's
Great.
cool, And I'm gonna lose weight and like all that stuff. That's just awesome, right? So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you do, or what's one technique that you like most about the kettlebell?
Oh, there's I actually like them all. There's like but to me it's just about being able to move something heavy efficiently, and get stronger.
Mhm,
So my day job is working at Costco as a forklift driver, but there was a period of time where after the doors would open, I would be in the back, working in the meat department. Like I would use the forklift to bring down their pallets of meat in boxes, and I'd have to throw them underneath and arrange them underneath the racks, so that meat cutters can get them. But
Mhm.
man, those boxes weighed a minimum of 45 pounds to 98 pounds. And before I did kettlebells, I was tearing my body up. Like I was exhausted. You know, it's like, oh man. I actually have a video footage of myself several years later after I was doing kettlebells and seeing how much more efficient my throwing the freight was. I was just like, oh my God, you know, it used to take me 2 hours to do a certain amount of pallets.
Uh-huh.
And man, it took me like only an hour to do it, that
Oh,
same
wow.
amount. I was like, whoa, this is cool, you know, and I wasn't beat. So I was like, this is cool. I'm gonna keep doing this. This is fun. And then the super cool thing is, like I've told Steve, is that this stuff, the kettlebell stuff, is the yang to the yin that he's teaching me, or the martial arts, right? They're like perfect complementary stuff. They have the same concepts, sort of, so to speak. So
And
yeah.
would you recommend that for women?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you get a good coach, you know, and it doesn't matter. Like it's the same thing. If people were to ask me like what martial arts style they should do, it's really not the martial arts style; it's the teacher, right?
Mhm.
So if you find a good coach, then yeah, I think kettlebells is perfect for anybody. You know, yeah, you'll see like the fat melt away, yourself gets super strong. It's just crazy. Like my coach Andrea, she was actually on like in the Oprah magazine, I think it was, and she was like 300 pounds or 200 pounds, something like that, and she lost a lot of weight. And like you meet her now, you would not have thought she was big. You know, it's just like, whoa. So,
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah, it's super
Really
cool.
cool. So do you want to add anything else to this interview?
I
Or
just think you know, mentors are good. They're really good to find, and um, what else can I say? Like, there's a definite difference. So, like I mentioned, Richard and Pamela earlier, and if it wasn't for them, I probably would have never looked into seeing therapy
okay.
and focusing on what's the traumas I've had in my life. And I think that's an important thing, especially for everybody who's come out of the pandemic, like to take the time to think about what it is that they've been going through, seeing a therapist. But just like finding a good martial arts teacher, you got to do the work to find a good therapist,
Mhm.
and then trying to you know, educate yourself and better yourself in that realm, right? The mental, the emotional kind of thing, because there's a definite difference between self-defense and martial arts. And self-defense, that word starts with self, so you got to start with yourself first,
Mhm.
right? And because then when you have a better understanding of yourself, then you can protect yourself better. And it's more than just punching and kicking. It's all about communicating and interacting with each other better.
Mhm.
um, and that's something that I think all of us need to just work. Like I myself, I'm still working on trying to be a better communicator, you know. And if we can learn to be kinder and communicate better, I think that'll solve a lot of the world's problems, you know,
Right,
with no egos and things like that. So
right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally agree. So the self-defense, I'm sorry, I know I said that I was gonna not go, but for the self-defense, I
Mhm.
know that you're doing that with your wife, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So with the self-defense, what are some recommendations that you would recommend and how to start when it comes down to self-defense?
Well, yeah, like I said, just realizing that first of all, you're a person. Everyone is really valuable, right? Um, I just saw this thing and I shared it on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, about Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about that from a mathematical standpoint, the amount of possible people that could be existing is almost infinite. So the fact that that you're actually here, knowing that that's the mathematical odds, is really special, because there's how many more people that could have lived, but they didn't get that opportunity, but you did. You get a chance to breathe, to drink, to eat, and all that kind of stuff. So you are a person of value, right?
Mhm.
And so you got to understand that first and foremost. Um, so that you can set your boundaries and realize that people are like, self-defense is really about yourself, right? It's not about punching and kicking. That's like communication. I really love this. Someone said one time, communication can be broken up into percentages, right? 60% of communication is body language,
Mhm.
30% is tone, and only 10% of it is words. right? Because you can go to another foreign language, another foreign country where you can't speak the language, but your body language and your tone can say, "Excuse me, I have to go." You know, they don't understand what you're saying, but they know you need to go to the bathroom, right?
Right.
So that's why the words are not quite as important, right? And so, like when you're interacting with people, how your body language and how your tone is very important. And then from a, I don't know, self-defense martial arts standpoint, it's like, what's your body language? How are you touching them? So the techniques are not quite as important as the other two things, right? How are you interacting? What's the exchange happening, right? And so those, I think, is an important thing, because I've working in retail with people are in leadership positions who don't have communication skills, don't understand that their tone is worse than what they're saying, or their body language is bad, right? And it's actually quite a shame that our education system does not teach communication outside of, you know, give us a report.
Right.
But let's work on communication as how do we interact. So I think from a self-defense standpoint, learning to interact, to have good communication skills, those are important. Because like one time Renato told my wife, before you have to do this technique that you just experienced, there are 99 things that just went wrong before you had to use that. So rather than focusing on that one technique and that one scenario, why don't you focus on the 99 things that went wrong, prevent that from going wrong, and then you don't have to use that stuff. You know?
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah, because there's a lot of preventative ways that you can, you know, being more aware of what's going on around you, you know, learning to de-escalate, right, is going to be important. Rich and Pam actually have a website that people can check out for free that gives all the education. It's called studyofviolence.com. And that's a good start for when it comes to self-defense, you know. And then, you know, I talked about the difference between martial arts and self-defense, and martial arts to me is a wonderful activity to help a person learn more about themselves through developing a better movement literacy, right? So once they can move better, they get to know themselves better. Like, oh, I don't have the balance that I think I do. You
Right.
know, I don't have the posture I think I had, right? And then, sure, it could, maybe the techniques, depending on the person, maybe the techniques can be used for self-defense, but I wouldn't say it's guaranteed for everybody, you know. Just like in my kettlebell coaching, there are some people that when I start teaching them, you realize, oh, they really have no sense of their body. So just picking up a bell, like just doing a deadlift motion is really difficult for them to do that without hurting themselves. And that's a relatively simple movement, you know? And so it's like, if these are people who don't have a good sense of their body and they can't even pick up a weight to just stand up, how can they expect to? It's pretty sad when the industry says, "Oh, we'll just do any martial arts and you can protect yourself right away." And that's not that's really wrong to sell it like that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, get to know yourself, get to know your own body, and then those are the things that's gonna, like, again, being enriching for yourself and make life enjoyable, right?
Exactly. No, it's true. It's very true. And I think it's more of the mindset, especially with martial arts. You want to work on you, and then it flows from there. It's not going to be like something that's going to be automatic and it's going to be self-defense. You know, I think that's what it is basically as well.
No, I agree. And then, you know, we're really lucky with like Steve, because Steve is not a person who has any egos or any issues, you know, like there's a lot of people in the martial arts industry who have unresolved trauma, who are teaching people who are coming to them with unresolved trauma.
Wow.
Right? If you think about it. So it's like when you find a good teacher like Steve or like Jesse, if they have unresolved trauma, they don't act like it, right? They're pretty level-headed and they're really good mentors, really, you know, and it's like those are the kind of coaches, the people you want to be with. So if a person is going to look up at martial arts, sometimes you got to travel, right? Don't just go to the local martial arts school because it's convenient, and then the guy's like that bad guy from Karate Kid, you know. It's so crazy because it's a prime example of like the kind of coach you don't want, but some people are like, well, that's the experience they expect.
Yeah.
It's like that's not the way it should be, you know. So
No,
yeah,
and we are lucky because Steve is amazing. And I know personally, I think um the Qigong, for me personally, I like that one a little bit better.
yeah, absolutely.
Martial arts for me a little bit, I'm still a little worried about it. I'm working on there.
That's okay. That's okay. You'll when you're ready, it'll come, and then like just be level headed about. Don't be too hard on yourself. Be kind, right?
Oh yeah, that's the main thing. That's what I always say. Be kind. Be kind to
Yeah,
yourself. Be kind to others. That's the main
yeah.
thing.
And if it helps, like I usually tell people, martial arts is just a masculine form of choreography or dancing. Because
Dancing.
like dancers, like most of my best students have experience in dancing. They pick it up real fast. So I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, like if dance is just a form of choreography, and then you look at martial arts as a form of dance, then it makes it fun, right?
Exactly.
And then if it does work for self-defense, great. If it doesn't, hey, at least you're having fun.
Right?
So yeah,
That's the way I
you're
see it too.
moving,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Very true. All right, Michael. It was a pleasure and an
yeah,
honor to
thank
have
you.
you on. I really had some good feedback with what you told me, and you had a lot of mentors that have taught you a lot. So
Yeah,
I really do appreciate it.
thank you
You
for
want
the
to
time.
add anything else? I know you said the website. Say the website one more time.
So the website, well, so for people who want to learn just self-defense, my teachers, Rich and Pam, have studyofviolence.com. My own and my wife's personal website is intentional movement Gung-Fu.com. That's all one word, Gung for the Gung Fu part, right? Intentional movement Gung-Fu.com. I'm slowly going to get that updated, be a little bit more clearer about the services we provide and things like that. But yeah, so those are the websites. And then we have an Instagram account as well. It's IMGF, at IMGF _ Seattle. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Greatly
thank you,
appreciate
Jovi.
it. And
Yeah,
everyone,
appreciate it.
we're gonna have his bio in the bottom as well. So Michael Banaag, did I say it correctly?
Pretty good. It's much better than
Pretty
most.
good.
Yeah,
Close.
yeah. It's Banaag. Yeah, it's okay though.
Say it again.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. That's
I
okay.
know
Yeah,
that's
Michael
why
Banaag.
I go by Jovi because that I don't like them messing up my name either.
Yeah,
So I do
that's
apologize.
okay. Yeah, no worries.
So we'll have his bio in the bottom. Like, subscribe, and you know the drill.
Yeah,
All right,
thank you.
you guys have a great one.